Yes, 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 yes. Good afternoon, my people, my people. So far, we've managed to start the program without any major technical difficulty. We do have some difficulty, but nothing major. Um, we're still waiting to be joined by Herb Nelson Jr. and Bobby Finzi Smith. I'm not sure about Bobby Finzi Smith because we've had some difficulty reaching out to him. But anyway, we're here. Good afternoon and welcome to Reason with Rattigan with the Rebel on www.reggaeglobalradio.com. As usual, we have a great program lined up for you, and we anticipate that you'll join and reason with us on the phone. By the way, the phone number is 667 369 8569. Again, the number is 667 369 8569. Or you can link us in the chat room or via email. And the email address is rattiganwill@gmail.com. And that's RATTIGANWIL at gmail.com. Rattiganwill@gmail.com. Let me just remind all of you to tune in to Reggae Global Radio, this station, from midnight tonight until 2 a.m. and relax with the Rebel. Last week was the first broadcast, and the Rebel, yours truly, received a lot of support from all over the world. The chat room was lively as people listened, enjoyed, and even engaged each other. It was a beautiful thing. And tonight promises to be even better. So you can't miss it. Have to be there. Tell a friend, a relative, or an associate, because this is a program not, I repeat, not to be missed. Today, I'm joined by Conrad, the Fireman O'Brien, host of the popular Straight Up News Talk 93 FM out of Jamaica. Jeffrey, the People's Defender, Tavares, from Roots FM out of Jamaica, and he's also the host of Make We Talk, the trending YouTube program. We'll also be joined by our outstanding intelligence analyst, Herb Nelson Jr., and we hope to have Bobby Finzi Smith, our security consultant, if not by video, then certainly by phone. And again, Bobby, if you're listening to me, the number is 667 369 8569. Again, 667 369 8569. And I know some of the listening audience, viewing audience, you want to call and you call me after the program, and you've made some excellent points, some outstanding points, but you need to call in so that people can hear the things that you're saying, because I guarantee you, you're not the only one with the issues. And so when we do it collaboratively, when we do it in a community, we get more input. And that way, you don't have the one-on-one, because I'm just giving you my perspective, but we have a distinguished panel and they may have something else to say. I may be wrong. So the more the merrier. There's strength in numbers. So call us. We'd love to hear from you. Later on in the program, I'll be joined by Dr. Cassette Jamison, the renal specialist. And she'll talk about and also be available to answer questions about kidneys and various forms of treatment. And I know some of you were disappointed last week because we didn't get the good doctor on, but she assured me that she's standing by and available to meet, greet, and discuss the issues with us today. Shout out time. Continued prayers and blessings for Mama Eileen, Papa Trevor, Ma P, and the family, and Mrs. Nelson. Big shout out to my die-hard supporters, including those who challenge me when they think I'm wrong. Just so you know, I welcome the critical assessments because they allow me to course correct if necessary, and also to refine my points. Big shout out to the Reggae Global family. Earl and Carolyn, as Carolyn said, Papa Jesus, take the keys. Eddie, my neighbor and brethren from Firehouse, I don't forget you, sir. Right? I have you in my scope. And thanks again for supporting me. The Chen Pangs from Queens, loyal supporters. Big up yourself, Rywick and Winifred. Admiral Amidjena and the crew from Rollington. Clover, the newest member. Thought I'd forgotten you, right? And also, big up to all the hardworking, dedicated members of the JCF, including the chairman of the Police Federation, Rowan James, outstanding crime fighter and administrator. Brethren, Rowan, I'd just like you to know that the diaspora supports your fight to get a fair shake for your members. And that's as far as remuneration and resources. And we're watching the discussions between the JCF and the Ministry of Finance, because we know that you guys and girls are not getting a fair shake. And so we're going to let our voices be heard in unison. We support you. We're behind you 100%. Updates. As I've mentioned over the past 2 or 3 shows, I've been having difficulty getting information from the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries and also the Ministry of Finance under the Access to Information Act, which is a Jamaican law. In fact, these 2 ministries have violated the law by not responding to me within 30 days. And this violation may be subject to prison time. I mean, that's what it says in the law. And a fine of up to $500,000 Jamaican dollars. Well, after much running around and touching base with a whole heap of my linky them, including Jamp, I received a response from a gentleman out of the PM's office. Read it last night. Big up to Mr. Damian Cox. And let me just say, sir, you crafted a comprehensive email chock full of information, and I will proceed accordingly. I may not have to take the government. No, instead, I may have to take the government before the media, the U.S. Department of State, and I'm afraid of the U.S. government, U.S. Department of State. I'm afraid of them people there. And those folks have always espoused good governance, regardless of what you might think about how the American government works and how they operate overseas. But one of the things that they're big on, at least in the media world, is good governance. And we know that Jamaica is falling short on good governance. So I may have to take them before the media, the U.S. Department of State, and a court of law for the lack of good governance. And believe me, folks, anybody who knows me, they'll tell you this. I'm not afraid to do it, right? Not afraid at all, no fear. And I have nothing but time. So if they want to play the game, the waiting game, I'm fine with it. I'll go along with it. Anyway, folks, I'd like you to know that this access to information law is one of the most powerful tools, and I said it last week, powerful tools that the public has to hold the government accountable and transparent. Yet, I'm told by influential people in Jamaica that the government has designed the reporting process in such a way to frustrate the process of obtaining information from the government. In other words, them put it out there, it's law, but them really don't want you to question them and ask them, about things that they're doing and ask for information. But you see, like the background behind me, you said, Fuzzy, that's because I have a whole bunch of light around me, right? And that's how we want Jamaica to operate, so that the corruption can be like this, just fuzzy, not bright and glaring and up in your face. Because we know there are very few governments in this world where you don't have corruption. But like crime, there's something called a manageable level. Well, in Jamaica, it's gone out of control. And so many inquiring Jamaicans who sought to engage the process have thrown up their hands and abandoned credible requests simply because it's been difficult. The numbers don't work, the location is not where it's advertised, and then the response is not favorable. And so you have to take it to another level, and there are several levels of appeals. But I have the time, I have the support. So I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. Not so with the rebel, because I'm fighting this cause not for me. Fighting this cause for you, my people. The 70% of you earning less than 20 US dollars a day. You are the people I'm fighting for. You deserve action. You deserve accountability. You deserve a government that will work for you and not against you, and not suppress your rights. Today I planned on discussing some, and I said planned, past tense. I planned on discussing some significant stories like the alleged child molestation case involving the founder of the Embracing Orphans organization. Hold on one second, folks. I think I have Mr. Robert Finzi Smith here on the line. Yeah, Bobby. Hello. Bobby. Okay. If you can connect with us, through, if you can connect with us through Skype, that would be okay. If not, the phone number works just fine, 667-369-8569. We're waiting, sir. All right. Like I said, I planned on discussing significant stories like the alleged child molestation case involving the founder of the Embracing Orphans organization. And also, and this topic is I'm excited about talking this one, the assessment of the worst ministers in the cabinet. And as I said last week, we are talking about ministers Chan, Williams, Tufton, Johnson Smith, and others. But these four are by far the worst. By the way, I heard that the government is going to have a retreat very soon. And when it happens, I'll be a fly on the wall. I'll tell you what them say. Because any room them go in, me dead. Trust me. All right? However,
is there a spy in the room?
They're listening, However, we're going to delay those stories because the SSL scandal is still front and center on the minds of Jamaicans at home and abroad. And also, it's a global story. It's everywhere because of Usain Bolt. Thank God for Usain Bolt, because if not for him, this scandal would have probably been swept under the rug and we would have never heard anything about it. Wouldn't have seen the light of day. Wouldn't have seen the sunshine. But anyway, we're going to start the discussion today with none other. He needs no introduction. The fireman, who will recap the background and give us his take on the latest development. Of course, family, feel free to participate in the reasoning. In fact, we're asking you to participate because this affects a lot of you out there, because I'm hearing stories about diaspora members who have gone and who are planning to go to Jamaica to withdraw funds from financial institutions, including banks. So, without further ado, Conrad, Fireman O'Brien, your time, brother.
Thanks very much, my brother. Want to say greetings to you, to my friend, the defender, Jeffrey Tavares, and indeed, I see where Herb Nelson has just joined. Yes, I want to greet Herb well. I know we are waiting on Bobby Finzi Smith, the security consultant out of Jamaica. And indeed, I just want to greet each and every one that joined on the platform, both here in Jamaica and indeed across the world. I want to greet you well. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon right here in Jamaica land. We love, as usual, we are blessed with beauty personified. And we give God all the glory for that as we acknowledge that this is the day that he has made and we must bask and rejoice in it.
Amen. Amen to that, sir.
Amen. Good. I want to just say off the top of the cuff that Jamaica is indeed the envy of many parts of the world in terms of our press freedom. we have constantly rated in the top 5 of press freedom. And I want to acknowledge that, because as someone who is a practitioner in the media, we have still seen where we are able to carry out our jobs and so on without persons, going through any major issues. Of course, there are skirmishes here and there, but in the main, we're allowed to carry out our job in the media here in Jamaica. So I want to put that on the table. I also want to say to our people that the financial sector, because I think I have a duty to do this, the financial sector here in Jamaica is on solid ground, and I will elaborate on that. The banks are well capitalized. Other investment houses, they are doing very well. They're doing very well. As a matter of fact, I can't overemphasize that what we saw at SSL is not a situation where investment had gone belly up, meaning to say that, stocks or units are tumbling down on the stock market here in Jamaica or anything. We have a robust securities market here in Jamaica. What we saw at SSL is just criminality, skullduggery, and people thieving people money and must made to wear short trousers. Right? I want to put that on the table. And also to underpin that, what we saw, well, certainly early out in the piece, we were of the opinion that the FSC did not carry out their job efficiently. But lo and behold, the Pandora box has been opened with this revelation coming out of the Ministry of Finance from the Minister, that indeed there was a correspondence to the Minister of Finance all the way back in 2021, outlining to him all of the shenanigans that were taking place at the SSL. And indeed, in my view, it begs the question, did Everton McFarlane remind the minister, that minister, when you're saying that you did not get that report, indeed you had it. The minister is saying that, listen, he did not see it, and so on, and I believe that is untenable. And I think that having this information now against the background of the minister's strong defense, I think the minister is on very, very, very stony ground. And indeed, his resignation is being called for in certain quarters. And I don't think I am afraid I'll have to add my voice to that call, because the minister virtually fell down on the job. Because the other question I would like to ask, and Herb, I know you are there listening, a situation like this, we understand that it would be forwarded by hard copy, right? But in today's day and age as well, we would also take it for granted that there was also a soft copy forwarded by way of email to the minister. And I believe that, as I said before, the Pandora's box has just begun to bust open. We also heard from Ambassador Dr. Usain Bolt yesterday, very, very calm and collective. He said that, it's stressful. However, he's leaning on his family. And also, he mentioned that he is still true and true Jamaican. And he will continue to do whatever is necessary to assist in building its country. But you know, this is a big loss. A big well, I'm not saying a loss as yet because we're hoping that he will get back his money. But certainly a lot of concern there. He also mentioned that you know he is leaving it in the hands of his lawyers to basically do their jobs. And to cap it all, he also said that he is not broke, but this was certainly a major hit in his coffers. I'll leave it at that. We will get into the meat of the matter as we go along. Hello?
Are you guys still there?
Yes, I'm hearing now.
You can hear me?
I am hearing you.
Oh, okay. All right. Whose turn is it to speak now? Okay. You know, it's interesting to hear a fireman bring up the fact that the Ministry of Finance was well aware. And I don't know who is the executive staff at the ministry, but you would think that in all the morning meetings or afternoon meetings or emergency meetings, that the executive staff is sitting there and is saying to the minister, Minister, we have this report from SSL. It's very damning. You also have a report or an opinion from KPMG from 2017 when they looked at the SSL from FSC, that audit, that most likely that opinion was very damning. And then you have a prime minister withdrawing his funds in 2021, which is even more damning because you have a prime minister who doesn't like to pay taxes and apparently doesn't like losses. But it's tantamount to what we have here in the US when you get an illegal market warning from insider sources telling you to withdraw your money. And the prime minister did just that. He withdrew his money. He never told the rest of the country. He never warned investors. He didn't want to panic people. I can understand that. But this is criminal, folks. You cannot have a minister of finance who's sworn to uphold the law to protect the people of Jamaica. I said it the last time we spoke, that he needs to resign. His resignation should have hit somebody's desk the same time the FSC gentleman resigned his position, right? You cannot have a double standard like this. And this is what you have. It's a double standard. One for the upper echelon, the Vumba Va, Vumba B, as my good friend would say, and another for the little man, right? What are we practicing here? It's a dual standard. Literally underserved communities. You can use an athlete's money. You can use an entertainer's money. You can get the money from old people. People are loaning money from these accounts, putting it back and loan it again, doing different projects with people's money. You cannot keep doing that and say that you are a government of laws and you are a government that respect the people of Jamaica and you're simply doing good governance. No part of this is good governance. Absolutely not. And so just those things alone, I think we need to spend time encouraging even the PM to start thinking about leaving the job. Because I don't see how he can run with a record like this. He never set the example as the leader, and the leader at the finance ministry never set any kind of examples. The boat came out like deers caught in a headlight, denying or acting as if they had no foreknowledge or forethought on the subject, and acting as if they're surprised and shocked. This should never have happened. People should have been warned, and people should have demanded themselves to have action taken much earlier. Now, I can't not fault Mr. Bolt or the other investors for not checking with their respective agents, getting hard copies of their accounts and have their accounts laid out in front of them. You can't put money into an account in 24. Yeah, you can't be putting money into accounts for the last, 10 years or 12 years or whatever amount of time these people have been banking and not look at your account or not have somebody review the account with you. So I can only fault those people for this happening, right? And so it's absolutely no excuse. So
Yeah.
that's my opening 10 cents worth.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone on this noble platform. To the goodly gentleman, the senior on the platform here, Mr. Herbert Nelson Jr. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Thank
and to
you.
all our viewers and listeners. My take on the whole SSL issue, it can't be that the goodly lady who's they have to take some statement from, it can't be that she alone playing this thing. In any organization you have to have a financial controller. And any money going through the gate, any check at all to be drawn, the financial controller has to know about it. And when the CEO, the former CEO of SSL is going to come on radio and tell the nation of Jamaica that Mr. Bolt doesn't have an account there, I would love to know, when he was CEO, what do they speak about at a management meeting, if they have management meeting? Do they have an internal auditor to audit the books? That they, who are managers, didn't know what was going on? Huh? That there was some rat in the organization who taking people money as if it's butter? And we are not to believe that the people money is going to go like Sammy Mount and they get back the money? How is it that the FSC fell down on its job? It's $1.something billion a year to run the FSC. The chairman of the FSC get over $13 million a year per his salary. 18 million per salary. While poor people money going down the drain. And the Minister of Finance, as one of the good gentlemen say, should tell his resignation. He should go. He fell down on the job, he was sleeping on the job. And how is it that the Prime Minister could pull his money out in 2016? And he professed that he loved the poor people of our country.
2020.
Mama loved the poor. Mama is no longer there. So I, Prince Andrew, I'm a poor people defender. How is it that you, Mr. Prime Minister, did not tell the people of the country that SSL was in financial crisis? Why didn't you? I hope and pray that the Federal Bureau of Investigation, wherever this investigation lead them, let the buck stop where it lies. And I hope the people of our country, even if we don't have any money in SSL, I hope we all get justice. It is time, full time, for the corruption in our country to stop. Mr. Rattigan?
Mr. Host, before you move on, in Defenders, in Jeffrey's opening just now, he mentioned the FSC, and certainly what we're getting today, basically, yeah.
Come again?
You have a lot of background, man. Yeah.
All right, any better?
Yeah, we're better now. You want to show your face or not? It's up to you.
Yeah, man, go ahead. It's cool.
No, you have to do that.
All right, let me see what happens here. It's up and showing me. I think I got the camera off.
But I'm seeing Bobby.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, I was saying that, and Bobby can add a little bit more meat to the bone as well. Based on what we're hearing, what we heard today coming out of the Minister of Finance, that indeed there was a report in the ministry. I believe that we have to examine the situation with the FSC a little differently. However, the problem is, when the minister was saying that there was no report and the gentleman tendered his resignation or whatever, did he remind the minister that indeed, minister, the report was sent over to him? Just want to add that little clarity there.
I'm just trying the conversation because I share the concern that Conrad just issued. Because I think perhaps the gentleman resigned, or I'm hearing all different kind of things. That the gentleman resigned, that he was asked to resign. I don't know which it is. But the fact is that it seems that what needed to have been done was done. He sent over his report and obviously got no response that made him feel that there was something being done about it. And then this now just explodes. So I think he realized that, chickens had come home to roost, and the roost was nasty. So him take away himself.
But Bobby, can you give us and the listeners a timeline? If we establish timeline here, because we're talking about reports, are we talking about the KPMG report? Are we talking about a follow-up report to that? Which, let's kind of nail down the reports. Fireman, you mentioned it, reports also.
If I may jump in.
Yeah, man, please.
This particular report that we're talking with Sir Herb and fellow panelists and our listeners, this is basically the FSC report that we're talking about, which basically formed the gravamen of the discussion, the nucleus of discussion over the last couple of days, to say that the FSC had indeed fell down on the job. The impression was given that they went into SSL, they carried out a report, and the minister and the Ministry of Finance wasn't aware, or no report was sent over. Now, what we're hearing is that indeed this report was, that the flagging of the SSL was indeed sent over. And that is indeed very troubling. So apart from the other reports that you mentioned, Earl, this one is where the rubber really hits the road.
I think that there's another side to it that maybe I shouldn't say about what the heck. I'm told that it's after that report was sent that the Prime Minister closed his account.
My God.
So hold on there, Sir Fringe Smith. Based on what you just said to us on this platform here, that the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Andrew Michael Holness, was aware that SSL was in trouble.
I won't say that. I'm just saying that coincidences and timelines seem to raise questions that perhaps need to be answered. What was the reason for doing so? But at the same time, there's another side to it. We have government agencies that have accounts with FSL. And if there was reason to bail, why were they not also encouraged to do so? Jamaica land we love. Mm-hmm. Or God is omnipotent, you know, so he could have granted it. Whether or not it was utilized is a different matter.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that the wrath of God is slow but sure.
Indeed. Indeed. Sorry, go ahead.
You know, I said something on my program one time, you know, and a lot of people was upset because of what I said. And I'm going to say it on this program. Many of our politicians in our country, on their dying bed, they're going to confess what they did to the people of this country, you know. And they're going to eat you know what before they're dead. It can't be that God is going to allow you all to stifle off poor people and stop poor people from eating bread. On the sitting on yam food bread in the upper lands of Cherry Garden and Narbrook of the Vumvava and the Vumvavi. They are going to confess on their deathbed what they have done to the people of this country. Mr. Rattigan?
Yes, I just want to pick up on something that Bobby Finsey-Smith mentioned. And Bobby, excellent point you made just now as it relates to the money, our money, the money from the National Housing Trust, the Jamaica Agriculture Society, and others. You know, if there was something that the PM was aware of, why wouldn't he have given those government agencies an op-ed on it? You know, certainly an op-ed on it. Also, and I'm talking about an op-ed in the truest sense, as we use it colloquially, and basically an op-ed, as it means that writing something and let people know about it as well. The other thing.
Sorry, but you must just say if you emphasize the if.
If, emphasizing the if.
If he was aware.
If he was aware and based on the allegations that are swirling around, right? So let us be careful. We're not saying that the PM was aware. We're saying if. But what I want to ask as well is, wouldn't it be important as well, Bobby, to find out the timeline as to when these money were actually invested through SSL? Because as far as we're aware, we understand that SSL came under major flogging in 2017. So it would be interesting to know the timeline that those money were invested.
And who was the minister in charge of the ministries overseeing the entities that invested?
Indeed.
Let me just a quick message here. Apparently the mic was down, so some of you didn't hear me when I mentioned that the national anthem, our national anthem, calls for our leaders to be great defenders, and that they've been given wisdom from above to do the right thing for us, and that what we have, and I'll go further to say, we don't have leaders in Jamaica. It's demonstrably clear we don't. What we have managers, and they're poor managers at best. We're also having a little bit of technical problems with the voice. I'm being told that it's not synchronized with our mouths. Sure, Kevin will be working on that as well. But the good thing is that we have YouTube, and on YouTube, everything is synchronized over there. So if you're having a little difficulty with us now, once we're done and the program is uploaded over in the YouTube, we won't have any issues. Now, let me just get back to saying that in my tenure with the FBI, and I've said this many times, and it's worth repeating, when you're put in charge of a unit, of an office, of a group of men and women, of anything, even vehicles, if there's an issue, you own it. You cannot sidestep it. You cannot push it onto somebody else. I tried that once, and that lesson resonates with me even today. Because I was told that when you're in charge, you don't blame your people when you sit with your peers. You don't blame the people below you who are not present at that meeting. You take the blame, and then you go back and you straighten out the situation. Now, and people, some people, they're a little bit concerned when I say that we don't have leaders in Jamaica. But let's take an example. Let's take an example. Two examples. One is Minister Christopher Tufton over at Ministry of Health and Wellness. When there was a clamor in the newspaper for openness and transparency regarding the deplorable state of our hospitals, I heard him. Nobody told me this. I heard him on the radio giving an interview to Cliff Hughes on nationwide radio, and he said that the people to be blamed, patients, visitors. He kind of veiled the visitors part, veiled the patient part, but visitors, hospital administrators, and also regional hospital administrators. Not once did he say, it's my bailiwick, it's my shop, it's my province, it's my domain, I am to blame. I take full responsibility. I will go back and I will make sure that the problem is rectified. He never once did that. Now we hear about the Minister of Finance, Minister Clark. And not too long ago, he became the public face of fiscal responsibility, not only in Jamaica, but across the world, because he was being praised for the stock market and the financial health of Jamaica. And my good friend Conrad O'Brien will know, he'll be quick to tell me and us that it didn't start with Nigel Clark, with Minister Nigel Clark. It started before him under a different government, but he benefited and he also did some work. So we give him credit for whatever he did. and we give him credit for where we are. However, he has to take blame for this. And what he's doing, he's saying, oh, a report was done, but I never saw it, and blah, blah, blah. No, 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 Mr. Clark. No, Minister Clark. No, that's not leadership. That's not leadership. Accept that you should have had that report. Accept that you either knew about the report and did nothing, or you should have based on your position. You should have. It means you're not running a good shop, because your people are supposed to report up to you everything that's going on so that you're not in an embarrassing position. So for this one, sir, I have to go along with some of the calls from my colleagues that I think it's time, high time, for you to do the right thing and step aside. We have a lot more people in Jamaica. You're not the only person with a financial background. You're not the only financial genius in Jamaica. And we're finding out that genius, that burnish on your genius, bit that it's not all that great. So there are other people who can come in and take over that job. So from my humble position, sir, based on everything I've read in the newspaper and about what you've said and the position that you hold, I'm respectfully asking you to take a bow and exit the stage. Conrad.
Yes, I wanted to pose that question to Bobby as well. Bobby, based on the latest revelation, you believe that the Minister of Finance position he can stay? You believe he can remain as our Minister of Finance? Based on what we're hearing from him.
It's a little difficult to go to bat for the minister in these circumstances. Especially in the light of my background in the military, where as an infantry officer, you're told there are no bad soldiers, there are bad officers. We were taught every success belongs to your unit. Every failure belongs to you. Mm-hmm. It goes straight back to even something as mundane as sports. In soccer, teams win, coaches lose. If you want the position of being head honcho, then you put up your hand. It's my thing. I'll deal with it. What it does is engender in my mind some form of confidence in your ability to fix it. And even more so, what it does is create a level of esprit de corps in your troops, because they're willing to go out on a limb and do what has to be done and push, because the leader is going to back them. The leader is going to shield them from consequences, and he will shoulder the blame and walk through the rain with them. What tends to happen is if people feel they're going to be thrown under the bus, they get off the bus fast and go take a taxi. So, you know, somewhere in Jamaica today, there's a civil servant in a ministry to remain anonymous who is contemplating their future because they don't know if they can stay under that kind of situation where they can wake up tomorrow morning and hear that the meltdown of the entire financial landscape was potentially placed at their doorstep. You know, if you have a situation, something as serious as this, a report like that, it wasn't a willy-nilly report, that must reach the minister. Must. It's not like a case where you say, put this in that file 13 and we hope it passes. No, because there's a lot of things at stake. And I think a lot of people are ducking and twisting because in their mind they're saying, if it wasn't Usain Bolt's money involved, you wouldn't hear nothing. And I'm wondering if they're right.
Absolutely.
May I?
Oh, go ahead, Jeffrey.
That begs to ask the question. Does the minister have a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance? That's a question to be asked. Because if he has a permanent secretary, all these things go through the permanent secretary, then to him. Am I correct, Sir Francis Smith? Okay. So,
well, what you have not taken note of over the past 10 years or a little bit more is that the role of permanent secretaries have been neutered.
But
Once upon a time, a permanent secretary was even more powerful than the minister, you know, sir. Because the minister usually acted on the not so much instructions, but the advice of a permanent secretary who was there primarily because of their experience in the role.
And
you may have a minister whose capabilities don't extend to the portfolio, the permanent secretary had to have those capabilities. I don't know what the current situation is.
But gentlemen, one more thing before I hand back over to the host, Mr. Wilfred Rattigan. If a report was given, that's what they said the report was given. You're saying to me that neither the Prime Minister, the Minister nor the Prime Minister knew what was going on at SSL? I find it hard to believe. The Prime Minister of Jamaica have his ears to every single nitty-gritty in this country.
Or should.
He does. Not true, he does. Is your Andrew want to say it's big? He does. So don't come and tell me that you didn't know what's going on at SSL. Not the Minister of Finance. It is full time. Same with the chairman of the FSC, tender his resignation. It is full time. The Minister of Finance and his resignation. And I'll dare go further. It's full time the Prime Minister of Jamaica speak the truth to the people of Jamaica or pack your bags and go.
Conrad,
some people are saying that the two may be synonymous. Because once the truth is spoken, the ticket is booked.
Gentlemen, we have time for a quick comment because we're coming up on the commercial break. Conrad, you have something you want to add?
All right, quickly. Jeffrey mentioned if is the report it's past if. This is coming out of the minister himself, the confirmation that indeed there was a report. The other thing that I just want to say quickly, and Bobby, this would be like yesterday to you. There's a gentleman that is known to us by the name of Renata Adams. Or Renata Adams.
All right, you know what? Just keep talking to the break. I'll just keep talking. We'll pick up after the break. Keep talking.
All right. There is a gentleman by the name of Renata Adams who led a squad called the CMU, right?
Yeah.
I think it was. And he went into Brayton, and at the end of the day, quite a few young men lie dead. He did not fire one shot, but he had to own it. And when it was talked about, everybody mentioned Renito. The fact of the matter is that to date, he is on.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
The question, I was making the point as to how with Renita Adams was the head of CMU. And in Brayton, that's a community here in Jamaica, and in an operation carried out there. And at the end of the day, Bobby, remind me, was it 4 young men that were like dead at the end of that operation?
I believe it was 8.
8.
Yes.
8, right? 8. All right. And what I'm saying is that Renita Adam, because I spoke to him and he did not fire one shot, but he was the leader, the head of that unit, and he had to own it. Whenever he spoke about it, he talked about his men and the operation that was carried out by him. And as a result of that, to date, he can't visit the United States because they took away his visa as a result of it. So hence I'm saying that leadership and leader matters. And in the same breath, this all sorts of people hopping over themselves and tripping over themselves, especially now, with we hearing that indeed there was a report sent to the Minister of Finance. Certainly, I believe that the minister's stay at the ministry certainly is untenuous.
But can I say this? Whoever did the report, having gone through SSL, must have been aware of the existence of the other government entities as clients of SSL, and should have said in strong terms, warning signals are here. We need to deal with this because we know we're not just dealing with individuals, we're dealing with the public purse. We are dealing with taxpayers' money, housing trusts, etc.
So correct, Bobby. So correct, Bobby.
If they didn't tell the ministers involved directly, which would have been going outside of their purview, then I find it hard to believe that somebody up top didn't say, Minister, can I speak to you a second? Because I tell you what, it is my opinion, I may be wrong, it's my opinion that there's a distinct possibility that with all of this that's been swirling around, someone, I'm not going to fantasize about who that was, but someone say, you know something, nobody not smear me with this, you know. So it's either you talk or me I go talk, and I better you talk. So don't let me announce to the world, one, that a report was sent in. Two, that you are aware of the report. You paint it however you want to paint it. But there is going to be public disclosure that there was a report. And then we were told that.
But hold a while for me. Hold a while for me. And because we must ask this question of the Prime Minister of Jamaica. Why did the Prime Minister take so long, or anybody of the administration take so long to address the nation in this issue? One. Two, Jamaicans in the diaspora, and I think in Jamaica, is saying are you hearing me?
Yeah,
Yep.
loud and clear.
We lost that is saying. We hear that.
Saying that they do not trust the investigating that is going on. If the FBI was put on the ground and they are the one who is investigating, then they would have trust them.
Herb?
Yeah, I am listening with great interest here because, first of all, when I look at the National Health Fund, the National Housing Trust, the National Insurance Fund, Jamaica Banana Industry Disaster Risk Fund, they all have major balances.
Jamaica Agriculture Society, I think.
Organizations, right? That is at the backbone, the heart and soul of Jamaica's existence. You talk about the Ministry of Health a while ago, and they're supposed to, according to the Pan American Health Organization, have a 5-year US $100 million in their fund to develop the perfect program where they can align the healthcare system and address the 4 major areas where people are dying from: heart disease, diabetes, and the likes. Okay? So if you're telling me that with these major funds sitting there, whoever was ripping the place off carefully negated the way around them. Right? The only rumors we have was, not rumors, but the 85 million Jamaica contract to that lady to promote good eating.
Jamaica move.
Huh?
Jamaica move.
Jamaica move, right. And
market me.
Market me. So what other major programs emanated from these stalwart agencies, right? And are they going to audit these agencies to ensure that they don't have anything at all missing? I think that's crucial to this whole thing. But what it's pointing to is the low-hanging fruit, the elderly and the athletes and entertainers and others who just make the money and don't bother check their balances because they expect money to be there. And as long as the money is there, fine. So only now that Bolt is missing his money, everybody's getting all excited. And I don't know, I saw something, Fireman, about some entertainer missing 7 million Jamaican or 7 billion Jamaican. I don't know how true that is.
No, that is not true.
I do comedy. I do comedy and I'm not that good. But
okay.
We're missing a point, you know. Has anybody inquired as to which other entities, investment entities in Jamaica, these ministries or arms of the ministries have invested in, or was it only SSL?
I was coming to that, Bobby, because Dr. Horton, the financial guru in Jamaica, has published a list of the top 10 investment houses in Jamaica.
That's Andre, Dr. Andre Horton, yes? Mm-hmm.
Andre Horton, yes. And SSL is nowhere on the list. So I asked the question before, what prompted the government to want to put their funds where there's very little growth and accountability compared to the top 10 that is out there? I don't know where SSL ranks.
Are these entities invested in the other people that we know to be in the top 10? That's what I'm asking. And if not, why not?
Yeah.
And also, Bobby and panelists, as I mentioned, Herb, it is also very, very important timeline, because since, you know, the mind, we are thinking, we are people with fertile mind, and all sorts of things are happening. It would be interesting to know when the money from the government agency went into SSL, because it could very well be a situation to prop up SSL if they were under, if they indeed was under the cloud. And I also want you gentlemen to factor in to the equation here. I think it was during your deliberation, Bobby, you can correct me, if it's not so, that former Prime Minister Bruce Golding, weighed in to the conversation and say, indeed, this government has some question to answer, because all Usain Bolt did was to put his money in there, and the FSC fell down on the job. Now we are now hearing that FSC really didn't fall down on the job, because they did what they had to do. And as we speak, it becomes clearer and clearer to me that Nigel Clark is in as part of bother this afternoon.
But gentlemen, are you hearing me?
Yes.
But gentlemen, the fact of the matter is, if the Minister of Finance really fall down on the job, okay? Is it that the minister did not do anything in the sense that he did not read the report, or he did not want to read the report, Or we must ask this question.
No, Jeffrey, I help you quickly. He said he did not see the report.
It's called plausible deniability.
He said he didn't see it, so it's not if he don't even come to reading it. He said he didn't see it.
And why it's difficult for me to even believe that. If you are a leader, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby, in the military, you do have a roll call with the enlisted, and then the leadership sits and discusses the day's mission and the week's mission, or what corrective action that needs to be taken. All right? After action reporting. All of these things we discuss in the military. So why is the ministry vastly different that they would sit down to discuss what are the threats? A SWOT analysis is what we use in the U.S. military. Strengths, weaknesses, and other threats, right? So what are the threats that is threatening our financial system? What are the strengths, right? Naturally, you want to put these things out there because if investor interest is threatened in any way by scandal, and you would know this, that there's a scandal brewing and we need to get to the bottom of it. You're going to tell me that not even the middle managers sensed this and raised the alarm and did something about it? They should all be fired in that case. It should be wholesale firing.
It goes a lot deeper than that, sir. You look on a situation, if you ain't go military, what is the mission? What is the aim of the mission? And what are the objectives and what are the obstacles to the mission? And then you work, how do you remove these obstacles, or how do you adjust the mission to circumvent them? Now, Will can tell me if I am on the right track or not. But criminally, if I know there's a crime, and I not only don't do anything about it, if I'm aware that there is going to be a crime, and I not only don't do anything about it, but what actions I do take is aimed at concealing the crime, I now become an accessory before, during, and after the fact. Which is why I believe that somebody said, I send you the report. Nobody will make me look like I'm an idiot or complicit. So you say that you saw this report, or there is a report, or I'll say it. And you really don't want me to say it. So they put it together and said there was a report, but I just became aware of it. That's a possibility. Not saying that that's what happened, but if someone can come up with a more plausible scenario, I am waiting to hear.
Well, let me just say this, that it's what you just said, Bobby. It's plausible. I mean, it's possible, but it's not plausible as a leader. It's not plausible. There's no deniability here. For you don't get a free pass. I mean, the minister doesn't get a pass. I go back to saying that that's his bailiwick, that's his province, that's his ministry, and he's responsible for anything and everything that happens in that ministry. If he didn't want the job, he shouldn't have raised his hand, or he should have refused if they wanted to give it to him, and somehow he was referred for that job. He should have said, "Listen, I don't want it." Because one of the first things you do when you take over a position is that you do an assessment of what you have inherited. That's that's a common sense. That's a common sense approach to leadership. You get a command of a unit, a company, or whatever. You say, "Oh, you know what? Let me bring in some people and see what I'm inheriting." Or and then you compare it to what the person who left. He's supposed to give you a handover report. So you compare what that person is saying to what you're finding out. That's simple. And I cannot believe for a moment that this genius, in inverted commas, couldn't think of that. When you have a man from Waterhouse who, be an unremarkable student like me, could I think about that? I can't figure this one out. Herb, go ahead. I see you chomping at the bit. Go ahead, please.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. Now, let me go back to basic, simplistic fact. Between agencies and the ministries, do they sign for documents that are taken to them? I mean, just that simple thing. Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Fireman.
Yes.
Surely they sign for whatever is sent to them.
In these modern times, people say them send the email, and you have given that outers, because most people don't understand the basic tenets of saying, please acknowledge receipt.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because most people can say, I get 100 email a day, I never read it. Or, based on the content of the email, that is where classifications come in. Secret, top secret, for your eyes only, urgent.
And
if none of these are attached to the document.
Once you open that email, the receipt bounces back.
There you go.
And this is where the rubber hits the road now, because we're, based on what I'm gleaning, it seems as if the minister is referring to a hard copy that came to him. But I am also asking the question here, and gentlemen, you can answer it. You all can weigh in. In this modern era, wouldn't it be safe to assume that while a hard copy was sent, there would also be a soft copy that's sent via email? So you would basically buttress the thing both ways?
Yeah, that's normally done.
Most certainly.
Yeah,
I'm sure you have to get away from that. The importance and urgency of this correspondence and the potential implications of the wrong eyes seeing it at the wrong time means that I am going to send you one copy for your eyes only. And if it got lost in the shuffle on your desk, oops.
Yep. Jeffrey, go ahead.
I just want to say something here. The ambassador for Interpol, Andy Mashaila, just sent me a message a while ago, and I want to read it here. He said, the Prime Minister must be taken to task. To the cleaners. The Finance Minister must, the Finance Minister must be taken to task also. In other words, what I'm getting from this is that both the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance fell down on the job.
And that's coming from out of Interpol.
Pardon me?
So you're saying you're getting that message coming from Interpol?
Yeah, well, for the ambassador for Interpol.
Okay.
But based on all of this that we're getting some report, and he said that he never got the report. Based on all of this, you're telling me, and maybe I asked the question before, but you're saying to me now that in all what is going on, the FSC to the Ministry of Finance, they didn't get anything? The minister didn't get anything?
Nah. I tell you what, because I think we have exhausted.
It's up in there, Mr. Host. How major is that observation that Dreffer just referred to? Bobby?
If it is coming out of, as you said, the ambassador to Interpol, it now is a signpost towards the international public's perception of us. And how we go. When he was reading it, I was hearing Bob Marley in my head. On one turntable was the song saying, "You're running and you're running and you're running away, but you can't run from yourself."
Well, I tell you.
The other one on the other turntable was saying, "You're trying to be smart, but you're not being clever."
Mm-hmm.
Now, my thing is,
small axe.
There's almost a disdain for the capability of people's perceptions and melding these perceptions into factual observations. You can have your appreciation of the situation and voice it. Everybody else can. And it can be said that your appreciation of it is based on your political alliance or your dislike of someone or not. But once I started doing investigations decades ago, I learned this. Your interpretation of what you're seeing is usually based on your feelings. But there's some things you can't change. You cannot change factual occurrences. Which is why I think Conrad is trying to emphasize timelines.
Along that trajectory, Bobby, I mentioned earlier, no less a person than Orette Bruce Golden, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, weighed in and said the government has some responsibility here. How significant is that?
Well, you see, you get me in trouble now. I was sitting beside him when he said it.
That's good. So that's why I'm fingering you in this, Bobby.
Well, look, we don't. Well, here's the thing: we don't want to get Bobby. Bobby doesn't want to go there. But while Bobby is thinking about that question, Jeffrey, quickly, because I want to switch topics quickly. Can't hear you. Unmute. Unmute. Yeah. Can't hear you. Is anybody hearing Jeffrey?
No.
Jeffrey,
no, I'm not hearing.
Can't hear you.
Just while you're trying to hear, let me just put it here. Mr. Golden said that it was the government's obligation to indicate to the general public whether or not this place was safe to be at. And if the government give it a license, technically they're saying they're safe to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
That's
okay, are you hearing me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Hold on, clear, Bobby.
Yes. What I am asking is this. To Mr. Rattigan, or maybe to Sir Herb Nelson Jr. Why didn't the Jamaican government ask the FBI to come and put their boots on ground in Jamaica?
All right, good question. That's where I was trying to go to, all right? Because I think we're all in agreement that the minister, he fell down on the job. And that the excuse that he didn't get that report, that's insufficient. It's unconvincing. In fact, we don't believe that to be the case. And even if we do believe it to be the case, it's still a dereliction of duties because that's his bailiwick. That's his home. That's his house. He's responsible for everything that happens there. And you can't shirk that responsibility and say, well, it's this person, it's that person. No, it's you. It's you. And maybe it may be because you didn't hire the right person, but that's you. That's you. So what I wanted to do was to switch the conversation a little bit because we're all in agreement on that. And also that some of this blame will fall to the Prime Minister as well. What I would like to do is switch it to the fact that the Minister of Finance came out, I think it was last week, and made an announcement that he was seeking assistance from the FBI and international partners to come in and deal with this issue. What I'd like to do, I'd like to start with Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
From an investigative perspective. Was he the right person to make that call, and was that the right call, and was it the right time?
It would have had to have been the people who initially are responsible for the investigation. But whether or not you like it, you know, the minister is part of the investigation, as in having to speak to the circumstances that led to this. Therefore, anybody who investigating this will have to get a background from the minister.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't choose who you want to talk to you. When the investigators come in, they must be completely autonomous.
Mm-hmm.
They must be without influence. They must speak to the matter regardless of who is the matter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would have said that perhaps the police force, which deals with investigations of a criminal nature, should be the one to say, we do not have the capabilities and there are possibilities of conflicts of interest here. So we would like to ask for international assistance. Could the government, through its diplomatic overtures, ask the United States to avail us of the expertise of the FBI? Bear in mind also, the FBI is not licensed by the states to operate outside of the states, unless some of this money will find its way into the US banking system. Then you don't have to invite them. They will be here.
Okay.
Because America, I keep using this analogy, and it's Al Capone caused a bag of people to death. They never got him for murder.
Tax evasion.
United States went after Al Capone for tax evasion.
Mm-hmm.
You do not ramp with US money.
All right. Let me jump over to Herb Nelson. Your reaction, sir.
You know, I'm listening, and again, if what Dr. Monroe is saying now, he finally speak up, and of course, we regard him as a true independent body in Jamaica. The NIA, National Integrity Action.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying that finance and securities law stipulate that a fund has to be in place for situations such as the SSL fraud scandal or any other fraud scandal. And so now he's calling on the Minister of Finance to verify whether or not the fund exists, because the man has not said a single thing about that. So is it that he fell down on the job to the point where he was aware of what's going on and just totally ignored the function that he should have had a fund in place to back up? Because I saw what the Prime Minister says, they're not going to bail out SSL.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He said that. But if Trevor is right, and there has to be a fund in place for this particular type situation, it means SSL and the Jamaicans who have been hurt by SSL should be refunded their money. Right? Now, I don't know how you folks feel about that, because tax dollars...
I don't think the government should...
Hold on. Let's stay on topic. Whether or not the minister called for the FBI's involvement, I want to know if he was the right person and if the timing was right.
Okay, well, all right. Let me address that. The minister, he's shooting himself in the foot, because FBI are going to establish firm timelines. They're going to be looking at text messaging. They're going to be looking at emails. They're going to be looking at the other government systems that are in place, right? They're going to be looking at when they had meetings. The permanent secretary kept minutes of those meetings for transitory purposes. the permanent secretary is going to have to be answerable to a lot of stuff. So I think he's shooting himself in the foot. But nevertheless, I think the reaction of the diaspora has forced him into that corner. And he has to come out looking bold and brave in that sense. But he's just going to prove what we're already saying, that he fell down on the job. And that he needs to resign.
Let me tell you something.
Bobby, quickly, because I want to move over to Jeff and Conrad.
If you put your foot in your mouth, which he has apparently done in certain times, especially with this report.
All right, Jeffrey.
And then you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. If your foot in your mouth when you're shooting yourself in the foot, it's suicide.
That's right.
but
absolutely.
Jeffrey, go ahead. Go ahead, Jeffrey, because we're pressed for time.
Listen, I personally think it should never be the Minister of Finance that called for the FBI. It should be the Minister of National Security or the Prime Minister. But obviously, the Minister of National Security don't have a good relationship with his U.S. counterpart. So he can't call for it. And the Prime Minister who went to Washington a couple months ago, obviously he doesn't have a relationship with them either. So they believe that the call on the Minister of Finance to do their work by calling on the FBI to come into Jamaica to investigate SSL. It is a damn shame that Jamaica has a Minister of National Security and he doesn't have a good relationship with his U.S. counterpart, Mr. Rattigan.
Conrad.
You're missing, sorry, Will. You're missing the point. Who are the FBI going to report to?
I'll get to that. But Conrad, go ahead.
Let me just throw one quick one in there. And to you guys, three of you are experts in terms of this matter, security. When the FBI is engaged, such as the Jamaican government or Jamaican authority asking for them to be engaged now in this, does it normally carry a terms of reference, or is that open-ended situation?
Is that the question, right?
Yes.
All right. Let me answer that, since I have a little bit of familiarity with the FBI. Not much, but a little bit. The first thing is this: if you're serious about the business of fighting crime, and you would like the FBI to be involved as a partner with you, you don't publicize it. You don't telegraph it. What the minister did, and I said it before, like when the Prime Minister was going to Washington and he said, oh, we're going to go meet the FBI and we have names and we have this and we have that. And I said, no, you don't do it like that. They don't like, because the first thing, and I'm putting myself now sitting in the chair, right, at FBI headquarters listening to this. First thing is that I can't trust this guy. This guy talks too much. Because if he wants to come see me, just do it quietly. Right? Just like this minister now, Minister of Finance, is out there saying, well, the FBI is coming. You don't say it. You just make your contacts and people come and people go. And between coming and going, while they're here, they do whatever they need to do. They get the job done and then they go home. Right? It's as simple as that. So the publicity part of it is a problem. The second part of it is this. You don't have a good relationship with them. That's the first thing. Even though there's a FBI, there's a daily FBI presence in Jamaica. Let me say that again for people who don't understand or don't know. There is a daily FBI presence in Jamaica. Never used to be like that, because the FBI used to, they call it territorial responsibility. And that territory consists of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Jamaica. And the office is based in the Dominican Republic. And Jamaica used to be what they call a road trip. So the FBI agents would be based in Dominican Republic, but they would occasionally fly to Jamaica to do whatever is necessary as far as investigations is concerned. That changed back in 2017 to 2018. FBI put somebody there permanently. So there's somebody there. So if you want to talk to the FBI, you go talk to this person. Very, very easy.
Well, but Mr. Rattigan, I still zero in on this point here because I don't hear you address it. Let's say they decide to take up the mantle, they take the offer, and they decide to come. Is there normally a
terms of reference? Right. I'm getting to it.
Or open-ended.
Yeah. No, I'm getting to it. No, I'm getting to it. What you do is this, that term of reference, and that's why I was talking about the daily presence of the FBI in Jamaica. You go to the embassy and you sit down with that ALAT, the assistant legal attaché, because the legal attaché is based in the Dominican Republic. You go sit with that person, you say, listen, here is what we would like to be done. Can you guys help us? And that person is going to go through the terms of reference. He's going to forward it to the Dominican Republic, to his boss, who's then going to forward it to Washington, FBI headquarters, who's then going to go to his unit chief, his section chief, his deputy assistant director, his assistant director, his executive assistant director, the deputy director, and the director. That's the way those things work. So many layers I just laid out to you, right? So what you do is you do this a while back, right? Now, if you have a relationship, you can bypass all of this, and I've seen it done. But we don't have a relationship. When you go to Washington and say you're going to meet with the FBI, and they put you in an auditorium with FBI, ATF, DEA, State Department, blah, 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 that's no relationship. You should be sitting at FBI headquarters on Pennsylvania Avenue with the FBI director, Christopher Wray. You should be sitting down with him and say, look, Mr. Wray, this is what I need, and establish a personal relationship with him so that you can pick up the phone and say, Director Wray, this is what I need. And then he will just send the word out, hey, make sure tomorrow all of these agents are in Jamaica. So that's how the terms of reference would be hammered out in Jamaica. It wouldn't be hammered out in public forum or after they got there. In fact, I can give you an example. I was in a situation in the Middle East where there were some bombings and some Americans died, and the FBI wanted to send people, and they were sending 98 people. And the country said, hell no. This is before they came, and I had to go sit down with the person who was in charge of national security and said, look, blah, blah, and based on a relationship I had with that person, he said, okay, fine, they can come, but here's what they can do, right? Here are the terms of reference. So that should have been worked out at the local level. It should have been worked out in Jamaica. So when them get up and say, well, ask FBI, blah, 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 blah. The other thing is that I've been hearing rumors that FBI sent a lot of people, and a lot of people, and then I saw something recently that said, the FBI is going to manage this investigation from the Dominican Republic, that they will have their ALAT in Jamaica, assist, and they will do it from the Dominican Republic. No, that's on the lower end of the scale. Having 60 or 100 people in Jamaica, that's for terrorism purposes, not for this. So I don't know where the truth is. If it's going to be 10 people or nobody or 100 or whatever, it remains to be seen. But to answer your question, to reiterate my answer to your question, terms of reference, they are worked out at the local level. They're not worked out, except if you have a good relationship with the FBI. And I've seen it done where people can pick up the phone and they can call that deputy assistant director, for example, and that they completely bypass the normal chain of command. They bypass the ALAT, the LEGAT, the unit chief, the section chief, and then when they have the regular morning meetings at FBI headquarters, the deputy assistant director will say in that room with all those people with fancy titles that, hey, I got a call from Prime Minister Holness. He needs some people down there. Hey, white collar and you guys and forensics, whatever, get some people, and by tomorrow, tell me how many people you have because they got to go by the end of the week. That's how that works.
Data analysis and all of those people.
Exactly. You talk like you sit in that room. You talk as if you've been in that room, man.
Let me ask this.
Sounds like you've been in that room.
All right. There was a report over a week ago that said 4 Americans got ripped off by SSL in the past. And this happened in 2015. And that the FBI, or most likely HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, who has the office in Jamaica, that they were involved in the investigation. Has anybody been able to follow that or heard anything else on that?
Well, I heard the argument is still live. As a matter of fact, we're getting some information that the FBI was actually active even before a call made because of what you just mentioned there, and also that we hear numbers that about 40 agents are in on Jamaican soil. I have not able to verify it. I'm also hearing that, listen, based on all of those information, we could hear something major in the coming week ahead, maybe by midweek. So since it's like pregnancy, it's coming, not going. So I'm prepared to keep my powder dry.
Let me just add another piece to it. The piece about I think Bobby mentioned it about the reporting thing. Right now, the FBI is not in the business of doing these public appearances, and whenever they do, the information is very sanitized. When you read it, sometimes you can't even tell what they're talking about. So it's going to be interesting to see once if they do get involved, and I believe they should, whether or not a report will be generated and whether or not it will be a joint press conference. I would like to see a joint press conference as opposed to the Jamaican side of it just saying a few things and then that's the end of it. But I can tell you that the FBI is not in the business of talking about matters of this sort. Also, we have to, and we need to keep this in our minds, that Jamaica, based on the corruption index, is very high on the corruption index. And I have been told by FBI agents that that Jamaica is a corrupt society. And I have read where 70% of the people in Jamaica polled said that they live in a corrupt society. Given those facts, I can tell you that the FBI, they're going to have sleepless nights about, hey, who can we trust when we go there and we start doing our investigation? What techniques and human sources can we reveal to them? Another issue that talk about terms and reference, Fireman, is will the Jamaican, assuming that the FBI is there to provide assistance, whether they're going to provide it as leading the investigation, or they're going to do it jointly, or they're going to take a back seat. If they say we want to talk to somebody during the course of their investigation, they identify somebody and say we want to talk to this person, will the Jamaican government make that person available to them? Because I can tell you right now that in some countries they would say no. They would say this person is not a subject. And so if you want to talk to this person, you give us the questions, we go talk to them, but we're not going to subject our citizens to an in-person interrogation by your agents. We're not going to do that. And therein, you could have a problem with the relationship. So you could have a problem because I say, how are we supposed to help when we're asking for this and you're telling this? Because the feeling is that if once you sit in front of an FBI agent, it's kind of difficult for you not to speak the truth because they have something called a 1001 violation, and Herb is well aware of this. That a lot of people are sitting in federal prison right now, not for crimes that we believe they commit, but for lying to an FBI agent. That in and of itself is a crime. So sometimes we see people where they arrest somebody for murder, bank robbery, all of this stuff, and there's not enough evidence at the end of the day, but there's evidence to say this person lied to an FBI agent. So these are some of the things that they have to consider.
Then you're going to have the problem of smart Alex telling you that this is an independent country, a sovereign state, and the FBI has no jurisdiction.
It's not true. You and I know this, Bobby. And Herb knows this as well, and Conrad.
People going to try that. What is happening now is that whilst we are pondering about are they coming, are they here, how many that, I would like to make some money by selling shredders because them going to be working.
Repeat that, Bobby. Repeat that.
If you want to make some money, advertise that you're selling shredders, heavy duty ones, because trust me, them going to be working.
But Bobby, I used to say this, but you have to remember now, all information is sourced from some place. So even if you have a hard copy, what are you going to do about the hard copy? Knowing what you and I know, that even if they go in and they try to destroy it, delete, hit the delete key.
I know what you're saying here, sir, but hear me now. And that is why I went here.
Dark web.
I was listening and see, I am going to have to be the one for Bell the Cat. The attempt to wind up the company is a signpost to intention.
Indeed.
If you have nothing to hide, and this is where, why you try to wind up the company?
Wind up the company,
The other thing, there's one quick thing, Herb. There's another thing. If you're trying to to prevent the destruction of evidence, why would you announce to the perpetrators that the FBI is coming? Because
I'm coming, yes.
Yeah, because Bobby, no, you
it's like having a raid and say, I will be knocking off your door tomorrow.
Yes. But you see, we're used to this because we tell people our information leaked out all the time, saying that there's going to be a state of emergency, there's going to be a zozo, and people run away. I guess that's part of the national security parlance. It's leaks. And so why would you want to mention that the FBI is coming if you really want to get the collect evidence?
There's something popping up on the street from one of our viewers in Canada, Sonia. I don't know if you are seeing it from your end, but is there anything in your end that you can see it clearly?
No, I'm not seeing anything in the chat room here. No.
All right.
What is Sonia saying?
No, that's the thing. I just know that she was saying something. She was trying to ask a question, but it's...
Yeah.
I
see where the doctor has joined us, but Doc, just hang on. We'll pick up with you after the break. But the conversation here is interesting, and I'm sure you'll find it interesting being a Jamaican as well and having family still in Jamaica. But again, you don't want to tell people that you're coming. Look, I've been on so many raids, and when we conduct a raid, the person is completely surprised, because what we do is we do the surveillance like months in advance, to the point where we know the person better than the person knows themselves. And so we go in when he's fast asleep. Several times he's making progress with a young lady, or vice versa. They least expect it, and they're completely shocked. They're taken by surprise. So how can you tell people, oh, the FBI, they're coming? What that's telling them, Bobby, and I hate to burst your bubble, Bobby, but it's too late to go buy the shredders because they've been bought already. The moment
that's what I'm saying. I missed my opportunity.
Yeah, you just bust my bet, and I was planning on making some money, man.
Miss me opportunity.
Yes, Jeffrey, go ahead, please.
The question that I sent to you, did you answer a question, sir?
Hold on 1 second.
Where Mr. Dudley Thompson Roosevelt from is asking.
Yeah, I think I did.
Should the FBI be in charge of the SSL? Put in charge of the SSL?
Yeah. Bobby had asked. Bobby and Fireman, and Herb, they'd ask some questions about, who's gonna be in charge and evidence collection and things of that nature. It depends on the Jamaican government, because they're concerned.
No, but Will, I'm surprised at you.
Go ahead.
Somebody has tried to get that. In chess, there's something they call castling.
I have no idea. I don't play chess.
Somebody has castled already where you can't get anywhere near the queen.
Right.
Because what they have done is said that they are transferring the oversight of the FSC to the Bank of Jamaica.
Right.
Now, BOJ, the FSC is supposed to have regulated like SSL. Once you move it to Bank of Jamaica, is Bank of Jamaica regulating them?
Right.
Yeah.
When you bring in the FBI or the CIA or whoever, they now have to go through the people who are in charge of the place. And then you have a sovereignty problem in their minds, because who are you to tell our central bank what them can or cannot do?
Well, Bobby, let me throw something out there to you. And Herb is very, very familiar with this. You can castle all you want, because we have been trained and we have been paid to develop something called human sources. And so you can castle from now till tomorrow. We will find somebody in there who will provide that information. I'm 100% sure of that, especially Jamaica. As corrupt as Jamaica is, the FBI will find somebody in there. I'm supremely
I'm glad
confident.
you said that, because I'm telling you that somewhere in the FSC, there are some very indignant people who think that they've been led like lambs to the slaughter for doing their job.
There you go. That's your pool right there.
Not doing their job, but for doing their job.
That's your pool right there. Then, Bobby,
they are going pressure bust pipe.
Yeah, pressure make diamond too. But let me tell you something. Here's the thing. Just like I was telling you about sources, you remember I said to you earlier when the program started that they're planning to have a retreat And that I didn't say I would like to be a fly on the wall. I said I am going to be the fly on the wall. Right? We don't need to say nothing more. See us, man.
Why are you giving people cases for headache? Because now they will be looking at each other like you.
Why do you want them cancel their retreat?
I can hear them now. Rattigan says that he has someone in here.
They're going to bring all the polygraph machines in there.
We want to know who talking. Anybody who sound like them have the slightest accent.
But you know
you're
what?
The one talking
you know what? One of the things that I learned over the years is that if you want to keep something a secret, 2 people or more can't know about it.
Nope.
Cannot be a secret if 2 people or more and they're alive and them know about it. Cannot be. And that's a print. That's where we operate from.
Any lock that have more than 2 keys is not a lock.
I rest my case.
Gentlemen, I want to put this out there because we may be closing out the session, right? I don't know. But we are at Saturday afternoon going to evening now. Would you gentlemen like to hazard a guess if we will get some kind of inclination as to how things may be going, say, by midweek of next week?
Before that.
Before?
Yeah, because what has happened is that, all right, look at it. The perception is unfortunate. It is so unfortunate that present members of parliament are openly cussing former leaders of the government.
Yep.
And literally saying, shut up, don't talk.
Hold on a second. Let me just throw one quick thing, Jeffrey, before you go. Just because we're coming up on the break right now. See, as I'm talking and I'm telling you about human sources, a trusted, verifiable source just informed me. Person who is enjoying. That person says everything. This person is working for the FSC now, and the person said everything you guys have said about the FSC is 100% absolutely true.
All right. We rest our case. Let me say this. Oh God, I'll lose my train of thought.
You know, take
I'll lose my train of thought. Go ahead.
Well, we are come up on the break right now. It's 4:59, and so the good doctor is on the other side of the commercial. She's with us. I see she's in our green room here. So where we now?
I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to take a walk. I'll leave you gentlemen to it.
Bobby, pleasure having you on. And we look forward to having you on again. All right? Much respect.
Same here, son. Take care.
All right.
Blessed.
All right. Let me switch over here and take a commercial break. And we'll be back with Dr. Cossette Jameson. Yes, people. Born for Rebel. Oh, I see what you're talking about. The good doctor. All right. Where's Herb? Did Herb leave us?
He said he'll be back.
Okay. All right. Listeners, viewers, we are joined by a dear friend of mine, Dr. Cossette Jameson. I could start out reading her resume, but it would take days, if not weeks. She has accomplished so much that I wouldn't do justice to it. And because time is at a premium, what I'd like to do at this point, because she has a very important topic to talk about, what I'd like to do is just ask her to just, a minute or whatever, just to introduce herself. And then we're going to take questions. We're going to take questions for her, if there are questions. If not, we're going to provide questions to her, because this is a topic that we should all be interested in. Most of us, we have relatives who suffer at some point from, kidney failure or, something wrong with the kidney. And this is a person to whom we should be addressing our questions. So, Dr. Jameson, welcome to Reason with Rattigan. And what I'd like to do at this point is just to ask you to just tell us, who is Dr. Cossette Jameson?
Thank you so much for having me on, Will. My pleasure to be here talking to our people about kidney disease. It's a topic that's dear to my heart because I've been practicing nephrology for more than 20 years. I am sorry. I have been practicing in the Washington, D.C. area and have experience in treating patients with high blood pressure who have kidney failure and need treatment on dialysis, or who have had kidney transplantation. And so there's been a lot of experience with this. I've spent time educating patients about kidney disease. I have spent time talking at many forums about this problem. I have been a medical director at, and I'm a medical director at one of the dialysis companies for seniors, that is, for several facilities where we take care of these patients on dialysis. And I'm an advocate, a strong advocate for patients who want to do their dialysis treatments at home because I feel that they do a better job doing the treatment themselves.
Doc, let me ask you a question. What are the most common causes of kidney failure?
Well, in the African American population, we see a lot of patients who have high blood pressure or diabetes after many years develop kidney disease. So this has been traditionally the larger population that ends up with kidney failure in the African American population. Now, there are a lot of other causes of kidney disease. Some glomerular diseases are within the kidney itself, some vascular diseases, of which hypertension is actually a vascular disease. But these causes are less important in the African American population than hypertension and diabetes.
Another question. You know, you hear people, you know, especially like in the rural parts of Jamaica, where they can't afford good medical treatment. They come up with herbs and this and that. They come up with homemade remedies for high blood pressure and kidney failure. Comment on that. What's your advice to people in those positions?
Well, in truth, the diet can play a very important role in general health, in the prevention of diseases, and in particular in the prevention of high blood pressure and in the prevention of diabetes. So I would never discount the use of herbs. I would encourage that in addition to your standard medical treatment, medicines, because in truth, medicines were developed from plants. Mm-hmm. We know the digitalis, for example, which was one of the first medicines they used for heart disease, is from a plant. Opium, which, you know, a lot of people get used for pain medicines and causes a lot of health problems in our country nowadays, is from a plant. So the medicines can come from herbs. We do know that lots of plants, lots of herbs, and teas, you know, people in the country will swear by the Sursa tea for this and it will help diabetes, and they'll swear that if you eat lots of garlic, it will help your hypertension. And these things are not to be discounted, but we don't want patients to use them exclusively, especially if they're under the care of a doctor and a doctor recommends that they have some traditional pills or medications that can help to treat the problems also.
Okay, Jeffrey.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, doctor.
Good evening.
I trouble with high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. And I hate taking medication. Mm-hmm. I can tell you that much. Give me an injection and I'm good to go.
Yes.
But the question I want to say this to you is that when I juice my celeries and my other green stuff, my blood pressure goes down faster than when you take the pills.
Well, I'm not going to discount that some vegetables, certain things can help the blood pressure. I think probably what happens when you're juicing is that you're not eating food that has salt in it a lot of times, which is a big factor that contributes to uncontrolled hypertension.
But I don't eat salt at all.
Okay.
I don't eat salt.
Do you ever eat anything canned foods? Something from
I don't eat canned food.
Okay. Well, I am not going to say that juicing is not helpful. But again, I think a combination of using the things that are healthy for us, that we know works for each individual person, in combination with the pills may be effective, more effective alone. There are benefits that the pills may give us that it's more than just a blood pressure reading. Sometimes one of the major problems with patients who have hypertension or diabetes is that they have cardiovascular disease in combination with it. And the pills sometimes help to cause the heart to be remodeled, to decrease the risk of cardiovascular disease. So that may be a benefit that you're not seeing when your pressure comes down. So I would suggest that you continue your juicing, that you know help, and take the medications that the doctor prescribes.
So, okay, you touched on a very important point a while ago about heart problem.
Mhm.
I'm going to put my business out in the public now. I I was admitted in the emergency room a couple of days ago.
Mhm.
Started having this pain along my chest, all the way in my left arm.
Mhm.
The pain that I am familiar with. And I decided to go to the emergency room. When I went there, they did all sort of tests, blood tests, the blood pressure wouldn't go down.
Mm.
When they did a CT scan of my heart, they realized that there's a valve, it's a little bit blocked. So they said to me they're going to give me some blood pressure tablets and some cholesterol tablets. My cholesterol is through the roof.
Mhm.
And I started taking it. To be honest, I started taking it. But what you said to me a while ago that when you juice, do the juice same way, but take the medication. That's what you said?
I'm listening.
Do the juice same way, but take the medication. That's what you're saying?
Yes, I'm saying that, to take the medicines, to take the cholesterol medicine, to take whatever medications they give you, and follow the instructions of the doctor. And I'm looking at you. I'm sorry. What's your name? Tell me your name.
I'm Jeffrey Tavares.
Otherwise known as the People's Defender.
All right. I wonder if maybe a little bit of weight loss would not help you.
Yes, it would. Because I realize that I'm overweight. I know I'm overweight, and I'm trying to get that down.
Okay, very good. So a little bit of walking every day is also helpful. Sometimes I tell patients it's important to get the exercise, even if you don't lose a ton of weight, because that exercise helps to also improve health in general. Your people with diabetes, once they add exercise to the regimen, will find that the blood pressure is easier to control. So I recommend a little walking. If you can do half an hour every day, that's a good thing. Good fresh air, and just get the muscles going and pumping the heart a little bit more vigorously, and everything will start to get better.
So, okay. Is it okay to go walking early in the morning and in the evening?
You go walking when it's convenient for you, when you're going to do it.
Okay.
All right.
Amen.
Yes. I mean, if it's even in the middle of the day, sometimes it helps to break the day up, cut the stress down, because stress is also a very important factor in things like blood pressure being out of control, diet being out of, not well managed. When we're stressed, we nibble, we eat food to make us comfortable, to comfort ourselves. So it's about a healthy lifestyle, a complete healthy lifestyle where you are getting adequate rest, sleeping enough, turning off the TV, and not listening to every single thing that's going on in the world, because we get caught up with all the stuff that's happening, and we have no clue as to how it's affecting us mentally. You go to bed after the 11 o'clock news, guess what? All the killings that you heard is still on your mind when you're sleeping, and you don't even realize it.
You know, doctor, you are so correct, because a friend of mine, who actually she's my ex-girlfriend, she said to me that, Jeff, I had her to just put away my my laptop, my WhatsApp. She deleted WhatsApp and everything. She said to me, you need some time alone for yourself. And it's the truth, because I find myself, whenever I hear about my fellow Jamaicans in distress, and I can't help and whatever, it get to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I find, I need to pull back and think about Jeffrey.
Yes.
And not put Jamaica in my head.
All of us need to do that. We need to tune the world out at a certain point of the day and just maybe meditate, calm ourselves down. You know, think about God, think about the beauty. Walking out in nature helps to reset our minds. You know, the Lord, I have to tell you the honest truth. I have a woman of faith, but I think that God created us to be people that need a balanced life. We need to have family and love around us. We need to have fresh air and nature around us. We need healthy food. We need adequate rest. We need to spend time with God. That meditation also helps to give us a rounded picture. So all of these things together, including the help of your doctor with medications that you need and guidance in terms of how to live and how to eat and how to get help, control the blood pressure, control the diabetes, or to control the weight, all of these things combined will give us a better life.
Well, thank God I don't have diabetes. And well, one thing I'm lack of is the love.
Conrad, you have a question for the good doctor?
Yeah, man. All right. Hi, Doc. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. You know, it's amazing that we'll have you on this afternoon dealing with this topic because I was just writing a script, you know, for a promo, what a dialysis center starting as a sponsor of my program for the beginning of February, Crown Dialysis Center. And indeed, dialysis kidney issue is a big thing in Jamaica, especially against the background that it is such a costly event and we don't have a lot of public facilities that offer this this level of care to our people. And hence the whole business of corruption and, you know, where our funds are going is such an important topic, because when you look at the amount of dialysis machine here in Jamaica, you're saying, oh my God, if we could just get corruption under control, then we could have so much more dialysis machine to help our people. However, getting towards the question, a lot of things, you mentioned African American, but I want to talk about Black people generally. Are you saying that kidney issue is more pervasive among Black people? I have a few follow-ups. Go ahead with that one.
Yeah, I would say yes, it is. It is. It traditionally has been, but I'll tell you the truth that I'm seeing America is a melting pot. Okay, so I'm practicing in America. I'm seeing a lot of other people, brown people, developing kidney disease, because I think kidney disease is becoming a disease of affluence, because there's a lot of high blood pressure in people who eat a lot of salt and who have a lot of stress in their lives, and that's a curse of affluence. It is present in diabetes. People who develop diabetes, a lot of diabetes is caused by, or linked, I should say, is linked to dietary choices and obesity. So that again is a problem with affluence. It's a problem with affluence and a problem with, what's the word? Socioeconomic deprivation.
So it's at both ends.
Both ends.
Both ends, the lower quintile and also the upper.
Yes, people who have too little and people who have too much.
People have too much. So we need to strike a balance there. In terms of a lot of diseases, especially lifestyle disease, they are what we call oh my goodness, I'm having a tongue twister there. But it's based on a family traits,
yeah,
right?
Hereditary diseases, yes.
Yeah. A family trait. So is kidney or renal failure, kidney disease, is it a family trend as well, hereditary?
It can be. Certain kidney diseases are hereditary. Hypertension can be linked genetically, I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters, and I think everybody except 2, myself included, have hypertension. I don't have hypertension, so it can be linked to it can be linked genetically. There are certain kidney diseases in particular that are genetically linked. But I think what I'm seeing most of nowadays in our country is that more kidney diseases are lifestyle induced.
Is there a reversal of kidney issues? We know that you can deal with things for blood pressure. You can basically diet, exercise, and so on, and you get rid of diabetes. You know, persons have started on diabetes and diabetic or medication and end up weaning themselves off it totally because of exercise and good diet. Is there any such balm in Gilead as it relates to
kidney disease?
Kidney issue?
Yeah, so yeah, in some regard, it can be reversed in some regard. And I say that with care because kidney disease, or we say it's chronic kidney disease, and chronicity has a hallmark of being something that is not usually reversed if it's gone beyond a certain point. Meaning that if you, for example, cut somebody's hand and they develop a scar, that scar is going to be there on their hand for the rest of their life, right? You can't get back normal skin. Even cocoa butter not going to do it. So to the extent that you have damaged the kidneys chronically past a certain point, the scar tissue is there in the kidney and you can't reverse it. If you have some chronic kidney disease because you have diabetes or hypertension and you catch it very early, you can abort it to the point that maybe you don't see the effect of it. And you could probably, if it's very early, turn it around. But after a certain point, if the car's starting to go downhill, it can't be stopped. It will continue downhill. What we do as nephrologists or even physicians in general that treat things like chronic hypertension and chronic diabetes, especially with diabetes that is causing kidney disease, is that we can throw things in the path of this car going downhill. We can kind of slow down the progression by throwing some rocks or some wood or something, some trees at the car going downhill and slow it down because it has to, it might be stopped for a while. But you cannot prevent it from getting down to the bottom of the hill. It's going to overcome that inertia and it's going to get there. So what we say to patients is that let us prevent it. Come to us very early, in the very early stages when your primary care doctor says, I see that your kidney not working so well. Let me send you to the kidney doctor. Go. Take us seriously when we tell you that this blood sugar is not under control. This blood pressure is not under control. We need to put another medication on it. You need to also start to lose some weight, etc., etc. Take your doctor seriously because when patients refuse to accept the truth, they do themselves a great disservice. And then by the time they start to have symptoms of kidney failure, it's too far gone. By the time the symptoms come, I can't help. And so this is like hypertension. Kidney disease is a silent problem. It's usually picked up when we draw blood work. And
good. What would you recommend for persons to do, say on an annual basis? Would you recommend, say, do an executive profile on an annual basis in order to, capture this, see if there is something happening? Or is there any one thing that you would recommend that persons do in order to sort of track this kidney issue?
Definitely, you need to be getting, as a general checkup yearly, yes, your blood work, which would include a profile to check your kidney function, make sure your blood sugar is under control, check your cholesterol also, and do a urine sample to see if there's anything in your urine that is indicating kidney disease. We can pick up things like protein, which is a very strong marker for kidney disease, early in the day. And so, when your kids go to the doctor when they're babies, they usually just dip the urine a lot of times without, they don't have to always do blood work, because that tells a lot of things about childhood illnesses if there's protein in the urine. So yes, you should get yearly blood work, and patients with established high blood pressure and diabetes need blood work even more frequently than that.
Go ahead. You have another question, Conrad? I wanted to have her jump in, but go ahead.
Protein in the urine, doc. Let's say you are someone who work out, I mean, when I say work out, mean that you're active. And as a result of that, a part of your diet or supplement would be, say, protein powder in order to gain lean muscles and so on. Is that something that could be impactful on you develop high protein in the urine?
Usually not. Protein in the urine is so specific for kidney disease because it's the glomerulus, which is the functioning unit of the kidney that does all the chemical exchanges and make the urine, is very good at retaining protein in the body. Protein only occurs when we punch holes in that filtering unit, and the protein molecule is so large that if you punch holes in it, it'll seep through and get in the urine. So when you are eating extra protein, most of the times you don't overcome the kidney and spill it. It stays in the body. So protein in the urine is usually an indicator that something is going on.
One final follow-up, Ratty. In terms of just, a lot of us, especially in Jamaica, don't have a lot of money to go to the doctor, or some people just refuse. In terms of, say, peeing, for example, is there anything that you could look for from the naked eye to say, wow, this seems as if there is a little issue going on here?
Kidney disease is not usually manifested by pain. If you have pain, it's usually muscular.
Peeing, like you're peeing, the urine.
Urinating, okay. In a urine sample, dipping a urine sample can tell us if there's protein in the urine or blood in the urine. And other tests that may not be so expensive to do is to just get the blood pressure checked. If you can get somebody to check your pressure to make sure it's within the normal range, and within the normal range means
let's say I go to the bathroom, I'm peeing. Is there any sign at all that I can look from my urine and say, wow, it seems as if there's a bit of trouble here, without going to the doctor, without doing any of these tests?
I am not going to recommend that people self-diagnose. So what are the questions we do ask patients? Do you see a lot of foam in the toilet when you pee? But I'm not going to recommend that as a self-diagnosis, because I don't want patients to say, well, it looks like my pee looks good, or it looks like I might be having some foam. Let me, say that there's a problem. I think those things can help if you notice them, to help experienced practitioner figure out what's going on. But the real essence is that kidney disease is silent, and it's usually picked up when you go to the doctor's office by maybe the blood pressure being too high, checking a urine sample, there's protein in it. When you dip the urine and you draw some blood work and you see that you're not excreting all the poison, some of it is staying back in your blood. Those are the signs. Maybe also swelling on the legs when the disease has progressed a little further on than you'd like. But it's by and large, the symptoms of kidney failure come when it's very late in the day, when you are ready. If you're starting to have swelling, your kidneys have been overwhelmed and have not been able to excrete your urine, and it starts to build up in your system. That's a bad sign. That is usually close to end-stage kidney disease.
Wow.
Thanks a lot, Doc. Thanks a lot.
All right. Herb, the floor is yours. The good doctor is out. Unmute. Please. Okay.
Hi. Thank you, Mr. Host. Doc, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
If you can shift down in the chair, because we can hardly see you.
Oh, you can hardly see me?
Bring the camera up a little bit. Yeah, right there. Good.
Okay. Yeah, I think I spoke to you before, Doc, and we spoke about somebody close and dear to me going into cardiac rehab, but with an acute kidney damage
Mm-hmm.
from the insertion of the ICD and subsequent infection that arose from it. Treatment with powerful antibiotics that knock the kidneys out. Are these common cases that you see all the time?
No, not common. It's true that certain medications can cause kidney damage. But a lot of times these things occur to people who are already at risk for kidney failure. So patients who have heart disease are already at risk for kidney failure because the chances are is that they also have high blood pressure and hyperlipidemia or high cholesterol levels. And those are already risk factors that are independent risk factors that will contribute to kidney disease.
Okay.
So,
now,
go ahead.
Go ahead, sorry.
So they come to the point now where they have a procedure and if they're getting an ICD placed, that means they already have heart damage. It's only put in people whose heart function is significantly impaired. And chances are that they have vascular disease. Their cholesterol has probably been running high for a long time. Vessels are damaged. And you start to do this and all the procedures, you know, it's a story that is not unfamiliar. So the sad thing is that while it's not common for healthy people, for people who have other complications, you can start down on a road where you just build up the complications and you know, and more things happen, and that's we see these things in patients who are sick who have underlying problems.
Okay, so it's a trend that starts with the cholesterol, with the high blood pressure, and then diabetes. That's a triple cocktail that kind of takes you down the road into dialysis eventually, if it's not controlled, right?
If hypertension or diabetes is not controlled, it can lead over years. We see diabetes can cause kidney disease after about maybe 20 years of being uncontrolled or poorly controlled. Patients who have diabetes can have it for many years if it's well taken care of, and they may not have kidney disease. At the same time, I think there is some genetic link that some people will have well-controlled diabetes and develop kidney failure also. So it's never predictable. If you you know, sometimes as doctors we'll just shake our head and say, we'll do, you know, this patient has done everything they can. We have helped them do everything. And sometimes the story doesn't end up being a good story. They still end up on dialysis. In those cases, we are happy to say that we can offer transplantation to those people who qualify. But everything needs to be managed well. Heart disease needs to be managed. We want to prevent them from having strokes because those things will disqualify them from getting a kidney transplant.
Now, in the case where, let's say, you have 3 months after the acute kidney damage to get you back to where your numbers are down and you can pee and all this other things that they're looking for. After 3 months, is it always a certainty that you need permanent dialysis? Is that the marker, 3 months?
Well, the reason why they say 3 months is this. If you have acute kidney injury related to what we call acute tubular necrosis, that is one of those problems that can be reversed. And the tubules become regenerated after about 6 to 8 weeks. So if you develop acute kidney failure from, whether it be from a heart attack or some medications that you got, and it's or severe volume depletion. We've seen people who get COVID and who were so sick they weren't eating, they got dehydrated, they ended up in the hospital, and they developed acute kidney injury. We saw that. They sometimes needed to have dialysis temporarily. But after about 3 months, if the kidney tubules are going to be regenerated, then it will happen that they will start to make urine again, and they will recover their kidney function by 3 to 4 months. So yes, that tends to be the sign that we look for. The kidneys recovering, we can see the labs getting better with or without the dialysis treatment, and then we can say they've recovered.
Now, in this situation, this has been since the 1st of January, let's say, when the ICD was put in, and we're now headed for the 1st of February. It's been about 4 weeks since the operation and trying to get the kidneys to come back. So there's some positive signs. But on the other hand, here comes the dialysis center, and they're taking so much water off that you develop a problem with low potassium and low phosphorus. And the potassium gets so low that it triggers the ICD. And the dialysis center, because of there's some transferring that went on between dialysis centers, that the second one didn't pick up. Matter of fact, she was dialyzed on a Monday, and because she had to start dialysis changed to Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, she was dialyzed on Tuesday, so back-to-back days, and then dialyzed the Thursday, only to end up in the ER because potassium dropped down to 2.8. Is there any way that they're supposed to do a blood test to find out where these numbers are? Is that correct?
They do. Blood tests are generally done once a month for the whole panel, and they check hemoglobin and some other things mid-month again, like 2 weeks in between.
Yeah.
So it depends. If this person has acute kidney injury, they may do blood work more frequently. And so not knowing the specific case, it's hard for me to give any specific opinion, but I do feel that in acute kidney injury, generally physicians follow the patients a little bit more.
Closer.
Yeah, we do blood work more frequently.
Okay, and will they always lose phosphorus and potassium?
Low phosphorus and low potassium probably indicate to me in a patient with kidney injury that they're not eating well.
Okay.
So that may be something that we need to address. This is a big deal, having kidney failure. Patients get depressed, they don't want to eat, and you can't get better if you don't eat. So let's make sure that the diet is good in this person. Liberalize the diet, make sure that, because phosphorus is contained in everything you eat.
Right.
And low phosphorus means that you're not getting a lot of meat, you're not eating nuts, you're not eating, cheese, you're not having milk, because these are high phosphorus foods, but it's contained in pretty much everything. So, let's make sure they're eating well.
The last thing I just want to say is I have my older brother died in Jamaica from failed kidneys. When I spoke to KPH, this is 1998, they had 600 plus people on a waiting list, and they only had 6 machines that were working at KPH. They're supposed to have 10 machines. As far as you know, has that situation been remedied where people who are not in the high-class jobs and areas can get dialysis, or once they get kidney disease, are they pretty much dead?
I think it's a little better than 1998, but I still think that in Jamaica, the patients with kidney disease are totally underserved. And I know that for a fact because there are dialysis units that have tried, that have been built, but there's more people that need it than the availability of machines. And just like you said, Jeffrey, I think it was, the cost is kind of prohibitive. It's not Jeffrey, it was somebody else.
Conrad.
Yeah, Conrad, right, you said that. The cost has been prohibitive. So I know that I think it costs $200 for each treatment in Jamaica. Am I right?
It's about 100. I know somebody who's on it right now. It's 100.
$200. That's about 30,000 J dollars. So very, very, very expensive here. And to add to what the question that Herb asked, the system in Jamaica right now, in terms of the public sector, dialysis is very, very poor, and hence I started out my initial comment about the whole business of corruption here in the country, because we could do a lot more with some dialysis machine in the public hospital. But I also want to ask you this, Doc, quickly. In terms of transplant, how expensive is that, say, by the United States standard, and what is the success rate?
Well, success rate is excellent. I mean, I am following patients who have had kidney transplants 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and working really well. So we've come a long way in terms of providing good response, because we use certain immune suppression medications to allow the patient's body to accept the kidney. And so this is a great problem, because these immune suppressive medications are expensive. And I'll tell you that even in America, there are patients who, I've had personal experience with patients who will run out of their insurance, or when I say run, for some reason lose their insurance. And if they don't get their medications because they can't afford it, they will lose the kidney. So when we're screening patients for eligibility for kidney transplants, one of the things that we do is it's a whole workup where it's not just that they have to be physically able to have the transplant, not having heart disease, not having had a stroke, or don't have cancer, because that is also a no-go situation, because giving them immune suppressive medications with cancer will just proliferate the cancer and it'll take over the body. So we also have to ensure that they're socioeconomically sound, meaning that they've got insurance or they have funds to pay for the kidney medications. Because it doesn't make sense to do an expensive transplant. You take somebody's organ that maybe you got it from your mother or your father or your sister or your brother, or from a cadaver, somebody who passed away, and give it to somebody who can't afford to keep it, because there are so many other people who need a kidney. So that's a wasted organ. I hate to say it, but it's true. You have to be able to afford it. And so the system needs to be able to provide patients with the funds to keep it, to pay for the medications.
So Doc, what I'm gleaning from what you're saying is that although even if you have a donor in itself is a waste of time if you really don't have deep pocket. Is that what you're saying now?
Or insurance. You have to be insured. Mm-hmm. You have to be insured. I mean, you don't have to have money to be insured in America, you know that, but you do have to have insurance. That's going to cover the medications.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey, go ahead.
Doc, me again. Me again, standing in the name of Jah. Anyway. Doc, if you don't, in other words, so for instance, saying that you're trying to lose weight and you're not losing, every time you take out the weight, you put it back on. Would that be a thyroid problem or what?
No, it's probably your body fighting against your problem. No, but there are many reasons why people can't lose weight. The obesity issue is a multi-factorial issue. Certainly, it could be a thyroid problem, but if your doctor, it's an easy test to verify if it's a thyroid problem. But
because from ever since I know myself, I'm 40-something now, and good God Almighty, I can't lose weight.
Yeah, so first I would suggest that you have a professional who will sit down with you and review your diet, what you're eating, do a thorough medical workup to make sure that you don't have the thyroid problem, that there are not things in your system that might be causing you to hold on to the weight, and then to evaluate even lifestyle, because most of us have a caloric imbalance, meaning we're taking too many calories that our bodies don't need. What your body also has become used to a certain amount of calories and it wants to hold on to that. And if you start to starve yourself, guess what? Your body becomes so efficient in holding on to the calories that you probably wouldn't lose a drop of pound. So it's a very complex thing, this obesity or weight issue. It's a psychological, a physiological, and as well as probably also even emotional issue. It's multifactorial and it requires you to be going at it from all different levels. Some people say, oh, I tried this diet and it worked for me and I lost all this weight. But everybody can't respond that way. Some people have surgery, weight loss surgery. They'll have a gastric banding procedure or take out part of their stomach or whatever to cut down on how much their stomach can hold. And after a year or two, guess what? They overcome that and they gain the weight back. So it's very complex, this weight issue. It's not something that I can give you one answer to it. I can't tell you what your problem is, Jeffrey. And I can't even say, Jeffrey, you're eating too much and your belly too big or whatever, because that may not even be the problem.
You tell me that all the time.
Well, I tell you that, but I know that I watch you. Anybody who know Ratty know that the boy can put away food, right?
Let me say this.
I'm amazed at this man. This man should be like the house.
Let me say this. If you cut meat, because I don't eat red meat anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't eat red meat. I cut out chicken because too much hormones in the chicken.
Yes.
I only eat fish.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I'm still having a problem.
But also you have to understand this. It's not just the meat alone that has all kind of stuff that is not good for us. In general, our diets nowadays contain a lot of food, other things. It's processed in an unhealthy way. We get, we're exposed to things that they use in wheat that cause us inflammation in our body. Our guts are lined with all kinds of inflammatory cells that are working against us to lose weight. So there is a gut-mind, a gut-brain connection. So when you have inflammation in your gut from eating too much X or too much Y, or it's more than just the meat. It's more than just the hormones in the chicken. It's antibiotics that are causing inflammation in our gut. It's sometimes the wheat and the things that we're not digesting properly. It's so many things. And the truth is that the food that we buy nowadays is not as healthy as it used to be 30 years ago. You used to go to the market and you get true organic food, true food that is grown in people's backyard and don't throw no fertilizer on it. The most fertilizer they have is the leftover peels, like leftover peels from whatever they get in the kitchen.
The yam and so forth.
Yes, that's the real fertilizer. But nowadays I'm getting stuff that them buy in the bags with all kind of chemicals in it. And that stuff would cause inflammation. And Jamaica has a food scarcity problem. No, you go to the market, you think that you're getting something healthier, you don't know where it's coming from. So, I mean, it's to me, because we're living in a different time than we were living 30 years ago, and we could trust that we were eating healthy foods. We go to the grocery store, we don't know what we're getting. So Jeffrey, your problem is a lot of stuff going on. Sit down with somebody.
Are you based in Washington?
Yes.
I may have to fly to Washington to see you because I want to see Ratty anyhow.
You're welcome, my brother, anytime. But when you come, your problem won't be solved because the doctor can't tell you.
No.
You're going to eat with me. The doctor knows. The doctor. When you come and you hang out with me.
You're
not going to restaurant with me.
No.
You can't go to the doctor outside because the doctor, although she cook healthy, she cook a whole heap. So.
Especially when I know he's coming over.
Okay.
You say Ratty food when I say Ratty, I put them. I don't want them food neither. It's a healthy food.
Well, we'll come up. We're running short on time. Doc, I just want to ask you two quick questions. We have heard that normal blood pressure is 120/80. Is that true? Is there such a thing as normal blood pressure standard for everyone? And the second thing is, somebody sent a question asking, is kidney stone an indication of kidney disease?
So concerning the blood pressure issue, it's there is the ways that we do blood pressure in the office is usually ends up being higher than the real blood pressure. The truth is, because we patients comes in, sit down, we put on a blood pressure cuff, we read it. Sometimes the arms are too big for the cuff and it's not accurate. We don't let them sit down long enough to relax. They're in there for a minute and we put the cuff on. Blood pressure should be taken after the patient's been in the office for about 5 minutes. We know that blood pressure readings are more accurate if they're done at home, when the patients are not scared or anxious because they're going to the doctor's office and she's going to tell me that I need to do this and she's going to tell me that I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? And they're concerned. So let us, if we can get blood pressure readings at home, it's more accurate and gives a better picture.
So the white coat syndrome is...
It's a real thing.
Okay.
It's real in that there's anxiety, but it's also real in that we don't set the patients up to have good blood pressure readings.
So
120 over 80 is a nice reading to have. But the truth is that many of us don't achieve that even at home because for many reasons. So we need to make sure that our blood pressure is adequately treated. What a lot of times we say, oh, my blood pressure was 140 over 80. But the truth is that 20 years ago, when you were a little slimmer, your blood pressure was lower, right? So as you get older, your blood pressure increases and it creeps up on us. And so we're saying, oh, it's only 150 over 85. Guess what? That is too high if it was 120 over 70 10 years ago. So you have developed hypertension, and that is causing what we call end organ damage. Damage to your heart, damage to your kidneys, damage to your brain cells, to your brain vessels that increase your risk for kidney disease, heart disease, and stroke. So it's really important to make sure your blood pressure is adequately controlled.
Hold on, Conrad. Doc, answer the second part of the question because we're pressed for time. The kidney stone.
Kidney stones do not necessarily indicate kidney disease, but it can lead to kidney disease, especially if you're getting kidney stones because you have not been drinking enough water or you have an imbalance in producing too much calcium in your urine and phosphorus in your urine. And those two things, calcium and phosphorus, will come together and form insoluble material and form stones. Stones can block the kidney water from draining out, can cause obstruction in the kidney, can also cause calcium deposits in the kidney, and it can damage the kidney over time.
Okay.
So it is important that if you have one stone, that you change your life. You get a workup to see what is causing you to have a propensity for kidney stones. And the most important factor in treating kidney stones is adequate water intake, 2 liters or more per day, 2 to 3 liters per day. One of these bottles is half a liter. So you need about 5 to 6 of these bottles every day.
Wow. All right. Listen, we're really pressed for time. We only have 6 minutes left. Conrad, go ahead, please, quickly.
Doc, if you're using this one, you need about 2.
Yes, the liter bottles. Yes.
Good. All right. Just, Doc, by way of information, you mentioned the whole business of eating and so on. And is there any, I know you're not a dietitian, but is there any food group that you would say to people, granted we know that they may be packed with fertilizer and so, but just off the cuff, what food group would say people, especially people who have diagnosed with kidney issue, what food would be important for them?
Vegetables and fruits in general are for everybody. Kidney disease or no, vegetables and fruit are good for us. And you need to mix up the foods. You need to have the yellows, the oranges, and when I mean orange color, I'm talking about fruits and vegetables need the spectrum of the colors. Green vegetables like your spinach, etc., and callaloo, and your yellow vegetables like the pumpkins and the carrots, your purple vegetables like eggplants and stuff like that. Your orange vegetables like tomato, although that's a fruit. Let me just say that, So everything, the spectrum, everything needs to be covered so that you get all the vitamins and minerals and the antioxidants that are helpful to keep your body healthy.
All right, Jeffrey.
Yes.
That's in that.
Hold on there, Conrad. Conrad, hold on, Conrad. We're for time.
Nobody's asking about dasheen. Dasheen is a good source of food to eat.
Dasheen?
Dasheen.
Dasheen is a carbohydrate.
Yeah, it is, but I'm asking, it is. Is it a good source of food?
It's a better source of food as a carbohydrate than, say, rice or bread, which is wheat. So the food groups, the roots are better for us. Pumpkins, the yam, the dasheen, cassava, better carbohydrates for us than rice, bread, flour, and white potato.
All right, Jeffrey, your turn.
Oh Lord, I forgot what you're gonna ask. It's okay, go ahead. I forgot what you're gonna ask.
Herb, your shot.
Yeah, Doc. So at this stage, what do you do if things fail after 3 months and you don't get your diabetes numbers, you don't get your blood pressure, you don't get all of these things under control? I know in Jamaica there's a bush that they drink the tea, and it brought the blood pressure down and the blood sugar. Was that the guinea hen weed or
the soursop leaf can do for you, you know?
periwinkle? I think was another one too.
Yeah. So people have different things, and I think the concept is this, and not to say that these don't work. They work for different people because people start to focus on their health more. They're drinking these teas instead of the sugar drinks and the salty stuff that may cause problems, and all together with the benefits of the herbs and the syrupy and whatever tea they're having, the guinea, the soursop, all together, these things add and help. So my summary of this is we need to get back to eating as much as possible. We need to eat as much as how the Lord taught us to eat in the Garden of Eden. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. I'm not going to advocate for raw because I don't necessarily think that I want us to go to that extreme. But if that's what you are impressed to do, then do it. Or if you are impressed to be a vegetarian, do it. But remember that you need to do it with the guidance of somebody who can make sure that you're getting all the food groups that you need, that you're not just eating only carbohydrate, because that's going to damage you if you have diabetes. It's about roundedness, moderation in all that you do. Remember, back again to what I said about physical health, spiritual health, emotional health, getting the stress managed, getting the exercise that you need, following the doctor's orders, unless you are, in addition to following the doctor's orders, in addition to whatever herbs and vitamins, etc., that you may supplement your diet.
Jeffrey, if you have a question, we have less than a minute to go.
No, go ahead, Ratty, because it's going to take more than that. What I'll do, I'll let you liaison with me to the doctor privately. So go ahead.
All right. Well, let me just say, Doc, it's been a pleasure. I can't begin to tell you the email messages I'm getting right now. People are saying, please invite the doctor to come back. She's very straightforward, valuable info. I'm getting lots and lots of messages by email for you to come back. I'm also looking in the chat room, and I'm seeing where people are saying that it's very informative, awesome question and answer, so on and so forth. So I'm going to impose on you to come back. Not next week, because I know your time is precious and you're extremely busy. But this is not going to be a one-off. This is your home. This is your place. And we want to have you as our resident doc. And because, as you can tell from the questions, people are very interested in this area. And to have someone like you on this program is invaluable, not to us as panelists, but also to our community. So I want to thank you on behalf of the panelists, as well as my listening and viewing audience, and hope that they listen carefully to what you've said and that you will come back and enrich us with your experience and your knowledge and your personality. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thanks, Doc. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Lovely to meet you guys. Bye-bye.